This is DSN TV, showcasing the ability in disability, proudly brought to you by the PA people.
And welcome once again to the Disability Sports Network. My name is Tony Telfer. We showcase the ability in disability, and welcome to another one of our series in, showcasing the ability in disability. And I'll hand you over to our host, Troy King.
Hi, okay, so I'm really pleased to have this week, actually, we've got a special guest. We've got three-time Paralympian, Paul Nunari. Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Troy, for the introduction. Yes, I've been a wheelchair athlete for a while now. I got injured in 1984 as an 11-year-old, sustained a spinal cord injury at T12 level, which basically meant no use of nerve damage to my legs, so I had to use a wheelchair, and really kind of got into sport when I was in hospital, just reviewing magazines back then. Actually, I think there's still the publication called Sports and Spokes, and just got into, they did articles on a myriad of different sports, but I really resonated with, basketball and wheelchair racing, and kind of thought they were two sports I wanted to pursue, and kind of got into racing pretty full on as a junior athlete, and that kind of established some great linkages into that professional elite level, which I pursued.
Before your accident, were you sports minded?
Yeah, I was. I loved football. Played, played rugby and Australian rules. So I love the competitive nature of sport. They were both team sports. I'd never kind of delved into the individual.
Yeah, okay.
But I think being competitive just by nature and everything, I think that was a nice, that transcended well into what I wanted to pursue, whether I was in a team environment or an individual environment. That was to push myself, push the team, to do the best we could.
Yeah. So when you got into the wheelchair and Paralympic side of things, you were always individual. There wasn't any team stuff.
Yeah, no, I definitely pursued. Well, part of whilst racing is predominantly individual, we have the relay components to the track events anyway. So I was fortunate to qualify for the my 4x1 and 4x400 meter relays, and yeah, coincidentally that was the 4x1 was the event that I won the silver in Sydney 2000, and that was a great event. Like relays don't get exposure obviously as individual races do, but there's so much technical detail in winning a relay and placing, or even just finishing. Yeah. Probably more so than an individual event, and then on top of that you also got the athletic prowess you've still got to have as four members. So it's quite a complex competition or event to actually win something in, and the fact that we did it was pretty amazing considering what we had to go through to get there. I won't kind of get into that detail, but it wasn't just as easy as jumping in the chair, winning a few heats and then getting into the final. We had crashes to contend with, and then all those kind of protests and that to contend with. So it was fantastic.
So talk to me more about the wheelchair sports, because me being from the vision impaired side of sports, I don't know much about the wheelchair sports. So the different categories, how does it all work?
Yeah, definitely. So it's obviously, again, I guess similar to blind athletes about function. So you've got T52, 53, 54. Yes, T52, 53 and 54. Actually, excuse me, you've got T51, 52, 53, 54. T51 and 52 around quadriplegia, or, it's actually beyond quadriplegia now. It's gone to, like, limb function.
Right, okay, yeah.
So T51 is quite limited limb function, and I guess for the old school, that'd be your traditional very high-level quads who would compete in T51. And then T52 is your low-level quads, and again, more recently, modern times is obviously, again, limited limb function on top of whatever quadriplegia. So, for example, someone with a missing arm, part of a missing arm or something, who could still push. and then you've got T53, 54, which is generally T53 is, I guess, mainly your kind of mid-range paraplegics, and then 54 is your low-level paras.
Sure.
You've got some amp function, some leg function for that matter, and then your amputees and other basically ingrown toenail kind of athletes, really. So yeah.
So, do you find that there's certain aspects of the wheelchair sports that are bigger than others? Like, is murder ball better than athletics? Is more people involved in the different?
I think at the end of the day, it's all about personalities has a big role to play in sports. I think you've got your marquee sports. I think visually to watch, swimming is probably not as exciting as some of those other court sports, but you've got some great representatives.
Oh, great athletes, absolutely.
Bring the numbers to the pool.
Yeah.
So I think, swimming is definitely a marquee event. I think obviously, track is, whether it's wheelchair racing, I think in itself it's its own marquee. I mean, everyone goes, see the runners and the various other disability groups, but there's something pretty amazing watching the wheelchair athletes. And then obviously you've got your basketball, and your murder ball, quad rugby.
Yep.
But then you've got other events like sailing, which is bringing great spectator numbers, and then other individuals who just excel at what they do, and people don't basically care what they do. They just want to see them do what they do, and that brings it numbers. So, but I think you've only got to look at London in 2012, the amount of people that went to every event. It's just getting bigger and bigger every year. More important, people want to see what it's about, and they're just happy to go to any event, really. Yeah. Given once the event's sold out, like any, our Olympic counterparts, people will just flock to any events that's available, and I think that's fantastic for the sport.
Oh, absolutely. You've been to 3 Paralympics. Is there a point you could pick out from each Paralympics?
Yeah, look, I think for me, Atlanta was very disappointing. Atlanta was disappointing for a lot of reasons, but I think probably number one reason was I think when they put the bid in, and added, the Paralympics just to get the bid, and from that point of view, they didn't put the work in that they should have. So every grey lining has a burst of sunlight, and that was the fact that the Sydney Olympic Organising Committee were in Atlanta, and they saw how not to run a Paralympics. Yep. And I think, Sydney for me was, it was the one event I wanted to do as an athlete and something I was proud to do. And up until London, it was the best Paralympics ever. So I think Sydney was fantastic, and for every reason you can think of as an athlete, whether that's racing at home, whether that's basically being able to have, showcase what you do to your family and friends, or just having the pride that comes with having such a great event in your home state or your hometown. Sure. And then, Athens to me was all about tradition. It's where it all started. Absolutely. So to get there and do that, to do the marathon in Athens was, it was a dream come true, really. The event, a lot of people compared it to Sydney. It was the same footprint as Sydney, and again, that's because the influence Sydney had on Paralympics. Preceding Paralympics was unprecedented, but it just didn't have the magic that Sydney had, and I don't think I don't think Beijing did, for that matter, from feedback. And again, London only just eclipsed it, but I think London has reset the bar, that standard, and I think that's fantastic. Okay, interesting to hear. Okay, good. So we'll see how Brazil does.
Now, away from the paras, but you still do other racing type of things on we call it road racing and that type of stuff.
Yeah. Look, I haven't actually formally retired. I probably never will. I love.
Sounds like me.
Yeah. I think the moment you mentally say you have, I still love racing, and I'll do a race here and there, and again, races that I love to do, and I think that that's your motivation. You do what you love, and you don't need any motivation to do it. What
are some of the road races you've done?
Look, I continue to do a race in Alaska, which I love. It's a fairly well-established endurance race. So I really love, kind of doing that, as well as other kind of, marathons here and there, and a couple of, 10Ks and stuff like that. Really anything that's up there that's just a little bit different, that's kind of off the circuit, where it's more kind of about pushing myself than kind of, pushing any kind of, records or anything like that. So again, it's just kind of, it's twofold. It's about racing, but also, experiencing part of the world I've never experienced before, being in another city or location I've never been in, which I've always loved being part of.
Yeah. Tony, Paul's used to the Paralympics of this era, where you're from the dinosaur era when you were in the Paralympics.
Thanks, mate. Yes.
That's all right. But just the mix between the two Paralympics, your thoughts?
Look, I can't really compare. I mean, I went and watched a number of events in Sydney. I went to Seoul in '88 and could not fault people or anything like that. I think it was a rushed, almost a decision that because they held the Summer Olympics that they had to put the Paralympics onto the end of it. But overall, no, it was a great experience. But there's a lot has changed since those days. I mean, since, as you say, when I was competed, they were there, but they didn't get the coverage that they have been from probably the mid '90s onwards. And that so, but I think, look, the intent of all the athletes is exactly the same. Everybody goes with the same intention, that's to do the best that they can, and if that results in a medal, all well and good. But I think ideally, if you can compete and do the best that you can, then you've achieved everything that you need to. I mean, and if you can walk away from, regardless of whether it's a Paralympics, whether it's a local meet down the corner, whether it's a local competition in my sport anyway, in goalball domestically, and you've done the best you can and enjoyed yourself, well, you've come out in front anyway.
Yeah, actually, what Tony said. I mean, Seoul. I mean, I was just starting up in Seoul when Seoul was on, but I remember feedback from members who went it was a fantastic event.
It was a lot of fun.
And for that matter, so was Barcelona. And Barcelona kind of set that new standard, and I think everyone was thinking that Atlanta would, and Atlanta took it back a couple of decades.
Yes.
I think that's what was why everyone was so disappointed, because everyone thought, well, from Seoul we've gone better to Barcelona, and then we'll keep climbing.
Yeah.
But I think, and that's why I think Paralympics should be more than just sports. It should be that progression around inclusion.
Yes.
And that's why hopefully Brazil will at least do as good as what London did, but. Reports have been a little bit slow to come around on the inclusive side of things. So
yeah.
We'll see. But I think you've got to look at it, like Tony said, it's more about, it goes beyond just winning medals.
Now look, we'll change tacks a little bit here, where you been named as the other Superman. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, that was. I actually called myself. That was pretty cool. Yeah. Look, no, it's actually a stage name for something else I've been doing, which is wheelchair, or aerial wheelchair acts, or wheelchair aerial.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I had the opportunity to perform on Australia's Got Talent in 2013 and did pretty well on the show.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just been really great to showcase that not so much obviously the performance I love doing, but also just having the audience I did for when I was on AGT was really good, because it exposed people to disability that had never been exposed before.
Yeah.
And the feedback I got was really, really good. And that I think the one comment I kept getting from everyone, whether that was people who were converted, like in the disability world, or people who weren't converted, was that it doesn't matter what you do with your life as long as you always do your best.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really positive message, particularly for kids, of any persuasion. Like, it doesn't matter. Kids are kids, and they go out and do whatever they want to do with whatever they got. And I think that was a good message, because it was a challenge with AGT. Not so much. I mean, the producers were great, but there's always that thing with those kind of shows where they can always kind of show, I guess, that really kind of sympathetic. They can play the sympathetic card.
Yeah.
And I really really was positive, and I guess it was almost a requirement of me being on the show that I didn't want that. I don't have I have a great life, and I wanted to showcase that.
Yeah.
And let the performances speak on the disability side of things. And I think they were happy to do that and see where it went, and they were really happy with the results. So I think from that point of view, that's probably what I was most proud of not being in a situation where I'm watching something and I'm cringing.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure we've all seen stories where the intent's been good.
Yes.
But the story's been absolutely abhorrent around what it's set out to portray, and then that's actually what it's actually portrayed. And that's, for me, media is such a great tool, but it's such a hard beast to tame in regards to what we present is very different to what's presented at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I must admit, I saw you perform down at the Opera House, and I was cringing, but only because I've got a fear of heights. And as I said, for those people who haven't seen it, I'm sure that they're able to still see it, what you do on the net and so forth. I urge everybody to have a look at it, because it really is. I didn't know what to expect when I saw it. I was down there, obviously, for goalball, as it was, and you performed there, and certainly well worth a look. And it's something that certainly. Surprised the hell out of me.
What I liked about AGT, each week you changed the act up. It was something different, so it was good.
Yeah, look, I did, and thanks for those comments, Tony. Yeah, it's something that's never been done before, and I think that's what people like about it. And I've still got a performance at the end of this month and another one next month, so I've still got still something people are interested in, actually wanting me to do, a show at whatever. But I really want to do that, Troy. I don't try to listen too much to the commentary around what you do, but I knew it was important to mix it up a bit. And my last for the grand final, I did a performance I'd never done before, and I actually I crashed on stage.
Yes, you did.
But that's just part of performing from my point of view.
I remember you even set the curtain on light.
I set the stage on fire, which I can claim too. And Cole Sanderlands liked it, so from another point of view, it was a pretty successful night out. But look, for me, it was never obviously you'd love to win something like that, not only for the money, but for what it represents.
Absolutely.
But I think the fact that I made the grand final, being in the top 12 as a non-vocalist was really great. And for me, it's not about, I've never been someone who's just been comfortable about, sitting in the back of the pack and, placing in the top 10 or, placing. It's always been, I'm either going to win it or I'm not. And, I thought I'll just go, hell for leather, see what happens. And, the fire was the end result. But look, it was a great night. Really happy for the opportunity, and hopefully people can take, a positive from that as well. No matter what happens in life, you get up. We're all going to fall down at one point. You just get back up and keep going with it.
Do you see yourself as an inspiration to a lot of people? Because I know that from people that I deal with, there's different people they see as an inspiration, and they see other people as maybe not so much. From your standpoint, I mean, obviously you do what you do because you love it, and that's the reason you got involved in it.
Yeah.
But do you see yourself as an inspiration to the younger generation coming through who maybe are in a wheelchair, or maybe have got some disability that they think that they can't do something?
Yeah, look, I don't. It's a really good question, and you kind of always ask. I don't know if I ask myself, but I kind of think about it occasionally. Yeah, and like you said, you don't intend to go out and inspire people. Like, I do things because I love to do them, and I think if I can motivate people, I think that's great. Because I'll be at gym and someone will say, I find it very hard getting motivated to come to the gym, and I can't fathom that kind of comment because I've always been a motivated person. But look, in regards to inspiring, I think that one of the comments I got out of AGT was that a mother was telling me about her child who was in school, and her child has a physical disability, and she was saying that he was having issues with kids just accepting him, which I felt really really quite sad about. But she said after the show, like, all the kids at school wanted to get to know him because he was in a wheelchair like the other Superman. So I think that's a cool story. Like, if that act kind of was a bit of an equalizer for other kids with any kind of disability, then that's a really positive story. So I think that's great. And if I can keep doing things like that do inspire, then I'm more than comfortable to be able to, with having that role.
Yeah, look, I know you do some talks now and then, get up in front talking to people. Have you met any special people in your life that that?
Oh yeah, look, I mean you do. I mean, look, I'm Troy. I'm inspired. I get inspired and motivated by you. I mean, I get, for me, inspiration doesn't come so much from extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. It's just sometimes it's just doing the basic things in life, and things that we just tune out to. So, I've met some really great people, some really famous people, but at the end of the day, I'm a pretty down-to-earth guy, and I get my motivation, inspiration just from people doing the best they can with what they've been given, and I think that keeps you grounded as a person as well, because you're always taking, your life interpretation of life is always just, taking time just to recognise just, the basic beautiful things.
Yeah,
and not kind of always searching for the wonderful, or things outside of that monetary value.
So look, we'll last talk about you push a lot on inclusion and that type of stuff. So what do you think along those lines? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I'm really excited about hopefully the NDIS, what it's going to deliver around inclusion. It's more than just, from my point of view, it's more than just a funding package, because only 10 to 15% of people with disability will actually get any kind of funding. I think you've got to look at NDIS in regards to what it's going to provide, hopefully holistically, in the future, and hopefully that's about, mainstreaming disability, or putting disability into the mainstream, which I think is, again, what kind of the Paralympics does on some kind of small level, every time it rolls around every 4 years. So I'm really excited about that, and hopefully, I believe government's on board. I think the New South Wales government's on board. They've been leading the implementation, so hopefully they'll get what inclusion's all about, and ensure that priorities under whatever commitments we come up with, will meet some of those opportunities on the ground.
Okay. Look, if anybody wanted to go and see your performances or anything, do you have any places to go to?
Yeah, look, I actually just perform randomly, so but you can always just look me up on Facebook. It's just Paul Nunari on Facebook, or the other Superman on Facebook, or I've got Twitter at Paul Nunari, or Instagram at Paul Nunari. So
social media person.
Yeah, just Google me.
And
you'll be able to find something, no doubt.
Okay. Any final questions there, Tony?
Yeah, I just want to know, what do you do away from everything? What do you do to just kick back and just relax?
Yeah. Look, I don't relax a lot. I've got a beautiful family. I've got two young boys, 7 and 3. So really, any time I have, I really obviously want to be with them. I don't want to it's tough, you always want to get that nice meeting between, doing stuff you're proud of, but also spending time with people, you really love and care about. So my downtime is always with my family, and try to include them as much as I can in the other stuff as well. It's difficult, obviously, because, they're at school and you've got to think about, what things they want to do as well, but I always try to get that, I definitely got the balance better. I think you get wiser as you get older.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I think we can all attest to that. Yeah. So, I'm in a happy place at the moment, definitely.
And is there any big things in your future? Anything upcoming, or is it just basically take it as it comes now? As you say, you do some performances here and there, but nothing.
Oh yeah, look, the performance side of things still taking off. So that'll be something that'll still keep happening. There's been interest from overseas, and so we're pursuing all that kind of stuff. So that'll still happen. But at the moment, I'm actually doing a bit of very, very early stages, doing some storyboarding around a film. So we're just So again, I think I'm really fascinated by media and what it can actually promote, and so film will be the next kind of frontier for me.
Fantastic. Troy.
All right, mate. Well, thank you very much for your time. I know it's been a couple of weeks coming. I've been trying to get you on, but no, thanks for your time. It's been really good.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure to be on the show, and look forward, hopefully, in the future, being back on.
Cheers.
Yeah, you're always welcome. Thank you very much, Paul.
This is DSN TV, showcasing the ability in disability. Proudly brought to you by the PA people.